Brookhouse here from Flow Slam, along with the hottest free agent in wrestling, Ethan Page. This is episode 2 of the Bitter Boys Club. Ethan, how you doing today?
Driest introduction to the hottest wrestler on the planet, but I accept it. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay. I feel like we should get this out of the way first. I have big news. Was offered a position with Impact Wrestling, sitting in the crowd for $50 a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think I'm moving on. I'm pretty sure that came in because of the buzz from episode 1.
Did you take it?
I have to talk to the fiance about it. It involves a move back in time to a couple days ago in Canada. So if we can work that out, I think I have to.
Well, they're still taping.
Yeah, but I'd have missed out on that first day.
Right, so you're an all or nothing. You're either going to do all the tapings or none at all.
Right. I mean, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for my crowd sitting debut to come, like 2 or 3 weeks into the show.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I was offered a contract from Impact Wrestling as well.
Awesome. Maybe we can keep this going.
Possibly.
What's your deal looking like?
Well, it started off with $100 Taco Bell gift card. I wasn't happy with that, so I argued with them to try and get $350. They countered back with $300. But my question is, if it's in Canadian or American, it's going to make a big difference. So if they agree to my terms in Canadian funds, I think I could probably get close to $500, because to them that would be close to what, $350. So I don't know. It's really up in the air. The appearance fee is not my problem, because if they're going to pay fans $50 to appear, I would only assume that they would agree to good pay for Ethan Page to appear as a televised superstar. So
yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So we'll work on that, but I like perks just because I like to rub it in to everyone else, I get a Taco Bell gift card and they just get real money. So
right. I mean, you open up that envelope in the locker room and you just kind of let that card fall out just so everybody sees it.
Right. Like an actual thing I do, which only makes me laugh, is when a promoter gives me my envelope in front of people that I travel with, I pretend it's like 1,000-pound weight, and I drop my hand to the floor. like they just passed me the heaviest thing in the world. I'm the only one that laughs at that, but it's pretty funny for me.
Yeah, you gotta get it where you can.
Yeah, so my contract offer expires tomorrow, so I either accept the offer and start driving to Ottawa, or I pass on it and hope for something else to fall in my lap, which it wouldn't be too hard since I am the hottest free agent, but yeah.
All right, well, big decisions. Real big decisions. So coming off another big weekend, why don't you give the rundown of what you've been doing?
Sure. So I headed out to Portland, Maine, not Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, for Limitless Wrestling, and that was on a Friday. It was a fantastic show. I did commentary for Darby Allin versus Josh Briggs, and it was one of the best matches I've seen live, mostly because I don't watch wrestling, so for me, everything is fresh and fun. Plus, I know Darby well, so to see him progress so fast, even since our feud and evolve, it's just incredible. But it's kind of a pat on the back to myself. I think I helped him out just a tad, and then it was good to catch up with him at Denny's afterwards and just kind of see how he's doing. And he's a guy that I definitely see a bright future in, and he commits to. I think he's living in his car right now, not in character, but in real life.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's just living out of his car, going wherever he has to learn right now, which is that's some dedication.
That's amazing, but it frustrates me because you have guys like that, then you have guys that just kind of sit at home and wait for things to happen, and they're bitter ironically. They're bitter boys because things aren't falling in their lap. And why would they when there's guys like Darby Allin who are, traveling all over the place and it's also good to. Sorry, I don't want to just talk about one guy this whole podcast, but it's good to see him kind of shy away from taking those extreme risks now and depending more on his skill. Like, he's super athletic, but the most talented thing about him is his selling and the way he can express the pain or like connect to an audience. And he's like, when it comes to emotion, he's up there. And I think that's why our chemistry was so good, because we both focus on, I guess, the same thing, like facials and the drama in the match.
Yeah, I think I've told this story other places, but San Antonio, the Evolve shows their Royal Rumble weekend. Before the first night, I watched Chris Hero show him like 6 or 7 different arm drag variations, and he was just working on it like crazy with Hero. And then over those 2 days, I watched him use like every single thing that he had learned, and he was just like, I think that speaks highly of Hero for his last indie shows, that he was just still out there showing Darby how to throw some different arm drags, and then that he was so eager to learn it and then go out and use it right away. It was just kind of a cool little thing to see.
Hero's always been like that. Like, he's always been one to offer advice, especially if someone's eager. Like, he's not a selfish person at all. Especially like for someone to end up in a locker room with Chris Hero, that's, I guess it kind of gives that wrestler a pat on the back for him to even go like, okay, yeah, this would be worth it to chat with this guy. And if you talk to Darby for 2 minutes, you realize how dedicated and how eager he is to learn and improve and grow and mature in wrestling. So
yeah, you know what, since we're talking about Darby, and I don't think we want to go back and talk about Darby again later,
sure.
One of the questions that came in was, were you pleased with the finished product of your Evolved feud with Darby Allin?
Oh, so I saw someone send this in, obviously because it was to my Twitter, but
that is also Aaron, who runs he's one of the guys that does the Everything Evolves podcast.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is an interesting question for him specifically. I was, but I wasn't. So this is tough too, because I don't want to say something and then when that Vice documentary airs, I say something completely different, because during the weekend of the final match, which was the last man standing match, it was a very frustrating and emotionally draining weekend, especially with the cameras and everything there, and the fact that Darby and I both didn't want to have the match. So,
all right, well, okay, that's something you have to explain.
Yeah, because my whole direction was I had to argue to lose at WrestleMania weekend, because originally I was supposed to win. But I just felt the story to come full circle for me to squash him one calendar year later, and then him to find a way to rise himself up the ranks and get to me and beat me was great. And I thought that told a great story for people that were watching from the first squash match and seeing the development of his character and his pro wrestling career. He only had 50 matches when I wrestled him the first time. So to watch him like legitimately grow in wrestling in a full year and then finally beat me, it's a big moment for him, big moment for Evolve, kind of like a star-making moment. And then after that, you have a guy that's a legitimate contender or can move on to another feud with another upper-level talent. So I just wanted it to end there, but we obviously had plans for me to go against Zach for the title for a second time, and I needed to get the win back and kind of close that chapter as the victor. So we brought it back again, with a last man standing match. And I hate last man standing matches because there's no pinfall. Essentially, it's just a stunt show with not as much drama as like a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, as a fan, it sucks from a tempo standpoint.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it lacks the drama of, stopping and counting to 10 is a slow process. Like,
right.
Bam,
exactly.
move, pin is like, oh shit, like that happened.
Right, exactly. So if you go back and watch it, you can see that I tried my best to avoid doing a bunch of 10 counts just because, like you said, like the tempo of the match and like the flow, it's just watching someone stare at someone while they lay on the floor. Although if it's a very short match, there can be exciting moments, but when you're looking to go last on a show, you have 20, 30 minutes, whatever the hell it is. And it drags. And I didn't want that, especially as the final like nail in the coffin to this epic story that both of us were very proud of. But like, to both of our credits, we just wanted to do what the company wanted to do, and kind of, I don't know, we played along. Like, we're not going to cause problems and say no. So we ended up doing it. Darby ended up breaking his elbow, which was mostly my fault, but also I'd love to defend myself in that whole scenario because we weren't really given a lot to play with in the match as far as like weapons and stuff. And we were supposed to follow this crazy match that we had WrestleMania weekend. And if you're looking to like progress something, it obviously has to be better and more extreme or whatever. Are you following at least?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you have to top the one before, and that's nearly impossible, especially when you tell us we can't have tables, ladders, or what else, trash cans, because those were all things that we used, and we wanted to have a different feel. And I felt like it was going backwards to kind of tie our hands behind our back without having like a bunch of stuff. So we came up with a bunch of ideas, and a shovel was pitched where Darby wanted to like tape a shovel to his back and do a thing, and I like what is it called, where he jumps backwards, the coffin drop.
Yeah. So
that was the original idea. He wanted to wrestle almost the whole match with a shovel taped to his back and kind of like whatever, jump around and shit. So I ended up changing that because I didn't want him to get hurt, ironically, and we changed it to taping a chair to his back, but we didn't have duct tape. We had painter's tape. It was such a mess, and I hated every second of it. So on the fly, was it on the fly, or was I supposed to hit him with the shovel? I can't even remember. I probably called it on the fly. But if you actually watch it back, I don't swing the shovel at all. I run with the shovel, and he kind of takes his own bump. But he threw his elbow into it and kind of did like the Rikishi clothesline flip.
Yeah.
And it hit him in the perfect spot and sliced his elbow and broke it. I would love for people to just go back and watch how not violent I threw the shovel. And I felt so bad about it because it was such a stupid injury. And it was a legitimate shovel. I had no say in purchasing it. I never, like, it's just frustrating. It was so frustrating. And then to wrestle the rest of the match with somebody injured and knowing we had to get through it, we had a run-in with a cue, and the cue, we weren't able to do the cue because, like, he was so hurt. Like, that whole match, I'm not happy. Okay, so let's just say I'm not happy with, to answer the question, not happy with the finish of the feud. I think it should have just ended WrestleMania weekend, and after that, it didn't hurt my character or anything. I could have bounced back, no problem, won a number one contenders match or something to make sense of getting a title match. And I think Darby and I should have never touched again unless we ended up being a tag team or something.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, I didn't like going back after the WrestleMania weekend match because that's the close to a classic like pro wrestling storyline.
Yeah, that went great.
Right. He developed, he came along. It took everything in him to finally get the win in front of a big crowd on a huge weekend. That's your story. Like,
yeah, man. And even that match, he got hurt, and I felt terrible too.
Right, and I don't feel like your character didn't need that win back.
No, I don't think so either, especially as a heel.
Right, that's the whole point of how things work, or at least how they're supposed to work. So it felt like it kind of minimized that whole moment and match on WrestleMania weekend to go back, do it again in, like you said, a more limited environment, and then have you win. It just ruined kind of the overall story to a degree, like I said, as a fan.
100%. And not even have me win, but almost have me squash him because of the injury. There's not much he can do. Like, he broke his elbow, I want to say maybe halfway through the match, and then the rest of the match is just me kind of just moving him around and trying to talk to him and see how he's doing and get through the match.
All right, so that's that. And then you was AAW the next night after Limitless?
Oh yeah. Sorry. So Limitless in Maine was awesome. I wrestled.
I was going to say, who'd you work there?
Christian Casanova, and I got to work with Stokely a little bit. It was good. He put Christian in the Dream Team. We had a little match. It was fun. And I love wrestling for Limitless. It's definitely in my top 5 promotions that I work for, especially because Randy Carver's the dude. And so originally this was supposed to be in a bigger venue, but like 2 weeks before, it's in an armory, and I guess the military decided that they were going to have a meeting that day, so they just booted him out. I guess that's in the contract, like they're allowed to do that. And so he had to find a new venue within like 2 weeks of the show, and he'd already sold a certain amount of tickets, and the capacity of the new venue was like half the size. So he ended up having this like whatever show budgeted out with the ability to draw 500 people, and then with the same budget ran in a venue that could only hold 300 people. And on like such short notice, obviously you're not going to cancel the wrestlers and whatever. So I hope he ended up at least breaking even on that. And the show felt absolutely special because you had 300 plus in this tiny ass hall. The atmosphere was bonkers. So I was happy that it turned out good for him. So yeah, check it out. Limitless. They had a show called Hybrid Moments, and top to bottom was awesome.
Cool.
Then Saturday, I guess I'll just keep going. So Saturday, I flew out to Chicago, which was the worst, just because I was in one of those seats where the exit row is, so my seat couldn't go back. Ever happened to you? No?
I'll take my seat not going back that little quarter inch for the extra tiny bit of legroom.
Hell no. I got to have that seat go back just a little bit. And I was in the middle seat, which drives me nuts because I'm such a big dude. And I feel bad taking like all the elbow room and I'm a terrible sleeper. So window or I'm miserable, just so I can lean on the window and get away from the people that are beside me. But yeah, so it didn't move back. It sucked. So I ended up going to AAW Super Cranky and having one of my favorite matches in 2017, which was myself and Josh Alexander versus Jeff Cobb and David Starr.
Yeah, on paper that sounds really, really good. I've heard great things about it. I was a little disappointed in myself that I just decided not to make that 70-minute drive to get to that. But
oh man, it was you know what though? It was one of those matches where I don't know. When I saw it on the card, I was like, "This is gonna effing suck." We're 10th on a 13 card show. It's the hottest building on earth. Crowd's gonna not give a crap after 9 other matches with the hottest indie talent in the world. I was like, oh, this is gonna be doo-doo. So we go out, match starts going, and there was just a feel about it, and it literally felt like me and Josh were tagging in 2013, 2014 again, where we were just absolutely wrecking the tag division in AAW and really making a name for ourselves. Genuinely felt like I time traveled and we were just having this killer match and things were going so well. The chemistry never left. Monster Mafia, genuinely, I believe, is one of the best tag teams in the world, and it sucks that Josh isn't able to be in the States as much as me, or else I would be pushing that as the hottest tag team free agents in wrestling. So I'm hoping either England or Germany or Ireland or whatever, or Mexico brings the Monster Mafia just so that we can keep this going, because like it felt so good to tag with him again and to have a unanimous voted match of the night. It was great. And when the DVD comes out, check it out. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to be offended by it. It was just such a fun and great experience and match.
Yeah, that was, I mean, again, questions lining up with things. Tony Kegger on Twitter had said he'd like to hear you talk about Josh Alexander's return to wrestling in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know the full details about it, because it was very, in and out. He was there Friday, Saturday. I went there Saturday and had to catch a flight and just take off. Or no, actually I didn't. We left because Space Monkey drove all the way from Canada, did the show to meet me there. And we took off as soon as possible because that's about a 9.5, 10-hour drive from LaSalle to Hamilton, Ontario. So show ended and we just left. So I didn't really get a chance to ask him a bunch of details about it. But, I mean, if you have the chance, check it out. He wrestled for the AEW title against Phoenix. If I had unlimited funds, that would be a match I would book in Alpha One. No questions asked. And then, obviously, you heard my rant about how proud I am of that tag match, so check that out, too.
Cool. And was anything else going on this weekend? Or am I forgetting something here?
That weekend that just happened?
Yeah.
No, that was it. I just had 2 shows. I guess we can do the who I thought is good.
Yeah, I like that the name of the segment is slowly devolving over 2 episodes.
Oh, whatever. Hey, who does Ethan Page like that's young and whatever? Obviously, my pick from Limitless would be Darby Allin. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, he'll grow into one of the more sought-after independent talents. And it's just cool to see him go to all these buzzworthy independents as a thing. He was a replacement for Teddy Hart. So, I mean, that's a testament to himself, I guess, in the fact that he's crazy enough to replace a guy who's the craziest guy ever. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think that it's almost a product of knowing that he is somebody who's living in his car, and I think there's very few opportunities, just the sense that I get, that he would pass up. So, you need a fill-in. It seems like he's a guy that's not going to turn down any sort of opportunity right now.
Oh, for sure. But that's how you get ahead, though.
Right, but that's also something that, him getting away from kind of the crazy stunt stuff is going to help him with, because he's not going to be, dying in between shows, so...
Yeah, no, he had a killer match. And Josh Briggs, another one, too. Big thumbs up. He's 11 feet tall, shredded, and super athletic. And they had a killer match. So I would definitely check that out. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to MJF for being the palest person in the locker room. That's it.
How much does that lower your opinion of somebody when they just don't have their tan game strong?
I tell that guy to go in a tanning bed, and he doesn't listen to me. He wants to use that stupid rub-on tan. It looks like you just smudge shit all down your back. Just pay the extra $10, get a membership, and lay in the bed for 20 minutes. What? Anyways, and then the next day was AEW, and I'm trying to think if I saw anything. Oh, I saw Myron Reed and DJZ in the opening match, and Myron Reed is, as his name is, hot fire.
Yeah, Myron he's just incredibly talented and really good for his age.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing, too, in a couple of years, And it sucks too. I know people don't like hearing that. Oh, in a couple of years he'll be really good. But it's like so I just watched one of my matches, thanks to Powerbomb.tv for old Alpha One stuff. I just watched one of my matches from 2012 or 13 last night, just because I remembered nothing of it, but I remember being absolutely injured. And I just saw myself do things that now I would be so upset with myself. And it's back then I thought, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. And it's just over time, you pick up little tricks and you find a rhythm and flow and like a natural ability to make things make sense on the fly, or how you plan it in advance. And in a couple of years, these guys will pick that stuff up by wrestling people that are better than them. And yeah, it'll really mature them as performers. So I'm not saying they suck. I'm talking about them. But I'm just saying in a couple of years, they'll go from talented guys to really, really good professional wrestlers.
Right. There's not a wrestler that has ever existed like that is considered among the greats who, if you go back and watch their earliest shit, no matter how good they were, that they didn't learn and get better.
Yeah, exactly.
And, guys like Darby and Myron have incredible natural talent. And like once they pick up the the finer points, then that is the shift that happens from like talented to like actually great.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah.
Also, I want to say I was so happy to see people tweeting me about my star rating analogy.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, oh, good. I feel so validated that somebody agrees that there is like what would that be? Favoritism almost?
Yeah. And
to a degree.
Right. Or at least like these like generalized kind of preconceived notions of what you're going to get just by looking at a card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was so happy that someone was like, hey, I never thought of that. It's so true. Like, yeah.
I'm so just smart. Happy people tweeted about the show at all.
What do you mean? It's not just me listening to it?
I listened to it so many times. Got to get those download counts up.
Heck yeah.
You want to run through some of these topics here? I think we've got so many that I feel like we could just bust out the rest of the show doing these.
Yeah, sure. I'm game for whatever. I love doing these.
All right, you made a comment earlier about how you don't watch a lot of wrestling. Hate Yo Kids on Twitter asked, as a fan, what styles of matches are your favorite to watch? Comedy, hardcore, ultra-violent, flippy doodah, hoss, lucha, etc. So
man.
How much wrestling do you consume in a week outside of the shows you are working?
Oh, none.
Okay, so on the shows you're working, what kind of stuff do you like to catch?
I just like anything that I'm forced to watch or at the merch table, or like if a wrestler's like, hey, could you watch this for me? I'll watch it, and that's pretty much it. And it's not because I don't like wrestling or anything. It's just I'm just so like it's not something that I have like a desire to obsess over anymore. If that's such a terrible thing to say, but
well, is it one of those things where it's your job and now you're working so much that your time where you're not working on wrestling, you don't want to be immersed in the thing that you do as work?
Well, there's that, and then you have to remember, I edit all of the Alpha 1 DVDs.
Oh, yeah, and I should say, like, time where you're working, not just shows, but you edit the Alpha 1 DVDs. I mean, you're dealing with merch, you're dealing with, getting bookings, you're dealing with, social media is a job in and of itself at this point.
Oh, try explaining that to my wife. She just thinks I stare at my phone for fun.
Well, to be fair.
I was trying to explain to her and like my family. They're like, "Why are you always on your phone?" I was like, "Because to me, I have a genuine connection with people that support me at this. And if I just disappear and they don't get what they've been paying for the last whatever some odd years, which is like an attentive Z-list celebrity who responds professionally and like in a nice way online on a regular basis, well, then people are going to start asking questions like, oh, now he's an asshole. It's got to his head. Where did he go? He used to be so nice. It's like I need to keep this, I guess, presence or professionalism continuous.
Well, and that vanity search isn't going to refresh itself.
Well, exactly. Come on. No one's doing it for me.
I'm trying to just thread these questions together.
What the hell were we talking about before this?
Oh, we were talking about the
watching
what you
wrestling.
like to watch, yeah.
Yeah, no. I'll answer this because my favorite kind of wrestling has nothing to do with a style. It has to do with flow. If the match flows in almost like a beautiful, like, it's so hard to explain. It's just when it happens, like everything just blends together perfectly from the first bell to the last, and it's just like watching legitimately a flawless movie or play, or listening to a flawless song. And if you watch matches that have good flow, like Rockstar Spud versus Marion Fontaine comedy match from AIW. I don't remember when it was. One of my favorite matches I've ever watched live. From start to finish, that match had flow. There was no awkward pauses. There was no flubs. There was no like forced jokes, weird transitions. It just flowed so perfect, and it entertained me from start to finish. That's good pro wrestling to me. I'm trying to think. Like same with the Darby Allin match I just watched. It had great flow. They weren't just trying to crowbar moves in there, I can't really explain it. I genuinely believe that the Young Bucks changed professional wrestling, and I don't want to like expose like what they're doing or anything because I don't want everyone to be doing this. But if you watch their matches, things flow just perfectly in these spots where if they need to get to something where they're on the floor, they find such a natural and creative way to get to the floor. They don't just force or crowbar a way to get there. Everything just has this natural flow, and it's almost like they have this magical power of knowing how the crowd is reacting as this whole entire sequence or spot is going. And that's something that I've like forced myself to try and pick up on and put into my matches, especially because I have a very limited variety of athletic things that I can do. So finding a nice flow is very important to me.
Well, I think that probably goes back to just the thing that I think has come up like 10 times in 2 episodes now, just matches telling stories. And, every match in some way tells a story, but there's really coherent, well-told stories versus ones that just involve a lot of yelling. So
right, yeah.
So yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from there, but not watching a lot of wrestling these days.
No, not really, no. And it's not like I'm like, oh, F wrestling. It's just I'm so it's my whole life. Like I deal with it so much that it's just, if I have free time, I'd rather do something else. Well,
and like, how much shit would your wife give you if you were like, yeah, I have nothing going on right now, so I'm going to sit down and watch like 3 hours of wrestling?
She probably wouldn't give me trouble. That doesn't sound like fun to me.
All right, got you. Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to flow with these questions here. You talked about the that you edit the Alpha One shows.
Yep.
And Tony on Twitter asked the birth of A1 Wrestling: when, where, how, why did the Hamilton base phenomenon come about?
I've told this story a couple times, but it never really gets boring. I used to work for a company out of my hometown, and they would run at a bar, and they would charge $2, and you could come in and watch just one of the worst shows I've ever seen. And it's every single Sunday. And the ring was broken, the ropes were broken, and this bar was giving them money to run shows. And I thought, oh, this guy's just pocketing all this money, not paying anyone. I would get $5 to wrestle, and me and my 2 or 3 core friends from the town would have the best matches, and we would have to lose to their guys, carry their guys, make their guys look good. And I was just, I don't know if you've listened to the first episode and this episode, I guess I think highly of myself enough that I thought, oh, I can run shows and do better than this and bring the wrestling that I like when I used to watch wrestling every hour of my life to Canada and to my hometown. And then I would feel proud enough to invite my family to a show. So I decided that I would bring that American indie style to my hometown and talk to one of my buddies. We were going to run a one-night tournament just to kind of test it out. And I don't know if this part I'm gray on. It was supposed to be myself and Alessandro Del Bruno. And I don't know if he chickened out or backed out, or when it came down to actually doing it together, he was skeptical about the finances. And then I just said, screw it, and just started my own company. And I wanted it to be different than everything else. Originally, we weren't even supposed to have a championship. We were supposed to have like a Survivor necklace. Like, it was supposed to, like, a medallion or something. That makes you the alpha male. Like, if you win it, you get it put on like you're like the king of the jungle or something. And it ended up obviously morphing into just a regular old pro wrestling show with a couple quirks that are a little different than every other independent going today.
All right. Well, I mean, you've got a captive audience here, so make your pitch on your thoughts on Alpha One Now, and what makes you a little different.
Oh man, if you look at independents today, it's very rare that the locals are more popular than the outside talent. And I don't mean that as a slight to the people that we bring in. The guys that I meet on the road that I think would be great for bringing into Alpha One, they always do a great job because they have a proven track record. But when you have guys that, and I don't mean this as a slight to them either, aren't as talented as the guys that I do bring in, my crowd loves them because they're there every single month. They're conditioned to cheer or boo the good guys and the bad guys. And it's just such a story-driven product that you don't find anywhere else. And the characters that we have on the show are so devoted to actually being those specific characters and following a script. And I think every good movie starts with a good script. And if you find half-decent actors, the movie ends up great. But if the story's not good, you could have the best actors in the world, but it's just not going to connect with the audience. So I take great pride in making sure that the script is good so that the talent has something good that they can sink their teeth into and tell stories. And they're long. I don't want to say long-winded. That sounds so negative. They're long. They're planned out almost a year in advance. And we're coming up to what is our WrestleMania show, which is the final act, where most of the stories, I'd say 80% of the stories, kind of wrap up. And it always ends up being this huge emotional event for the fans because they've been coming every single month watching these things progress, and they are invested, which makes the shows that much better because you hear that crowd reaction and it's always genuine.
So what's better, working or just running Alpha One?
I prefer... Oh man, that's so tough. I get so much out of both, but so much different satisfaction. I enjoy traveling to events and meeting people that support my career, and that's nothing that'll ever be replaced. It's just such a good feeling to know that in this crazy job that I have support all over. So if I go to a show and for my first time, like this weekend I'm going to Defy, if I meet one person, and I mean that, there could be 500 people there. If I meet one person that tells me they've been watching my DVDs or whatever, and they support me and they like my work and they're happy that I got brought in, to me that's a victory, because I've never wrestled in that town before. So for me to have a connection with that fan, it's authentic, and it means I'm doing my job to a degree. But to watch my stories unfold and to envision these reactions and outcomes of these, I'm talking 8-9 months down the line, and to watch that get executed to a way that the crowd reacts exactly the way I want, it's such like an ego boost that I could manipulate people's emotions with essentially my pencil. Like, I'm writing all this stuff thinking like, yeah, this is going to happen. This is how they're going to feel. This is how they're going to react, yada, yada, yada. And it just validates my writing in a way that I feel like I'm doing a good job.
All right. And I mean, honest question, but is Alpha One at this point where you thought it would be when you started out?
Oh man, I thought I'd close down.
All right.
It's outlasted what I ever expected. And that's mostly because of the talent. Like, I'm such a sucker for guys trying to break out. And like I'm like literally just preaching for how awesome I am. I'm going to come off like such a douche in this episode. There's guys that I would not want to close the company down because I feel so connected and passionate to what they offer pro wrestling. And I don't think that other companies offer them the opportunity that I do, either creatively or in the ring. And we're talking guys, like if you watch Alpha One, if you support Alpha One, guys like Kobe Durst. No one else in the country is putting Kobe Durst in the ring with Eddie Kingston or Michael Elgin or ACH or Josh Alexander with 30-minute time limit. So he gets to show his worth, and then he grows as a performer, and now he's a double champion at C4 Wrestling, which is arguably one of the biggest companies in Canada, and they wouldn't have known about him or his ability without Alpha One. And I'm not patting myself on the back. Kobe Durst did all the work. Kobe Durst had all those matches. Then you have a guy like Josh Alexander, who is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he needs to be in the ring with guys of his caliber. So I do my best to make sure that he has that opportunity and let him have matches like he did with Eddie Kingston in like this epic strong style battle, or like he's wrestled David Starr in one of my favorite matches. He's wrestled Matt Riddle for me. I'll always put guys like that in the ring. And then you have guys like Space Monkey who have amazing characters. And since our company is so story driven, I thought, oh my God, we have a character that's a scientist. They are a tag team. Their name was Theory of Evolution. So we have Jim Nye, the science guy, and Space Monkey. Space Monkey was Jim Nye's pet project. Eventually, Space Monkey realized that Jim Nye wasn't a good guy, so they broke up. And this crowd's watching this all happen over a year. So once they broke up, Jim Nye used his DNA to clone the Space Monkey and make an evil Space Monkey. And this is all just like me traveling with them, pitching them hilarious storylines, and them saying, "Yeah, I would love to do that." And no one else is gonna write these kind of things for these guys, because companies come and go. They don't have an invested crowd. They don't have the privilege of having storylines go more than 2 or 3 shows. So it's a fun way for them to grow as performers and actually have dialogue and a reason for matches, instead of just, you have 8 minutes, go out there and have a good match.
All right, that makes sense. So
that was a long ass rant.
Yeah, and the whole time you were just making yourself sound like just wrestling Jesus.
I mean,
just doing for others.
That was my character at AIW in like 2013. So,
all right, we've got Craig on Twitter asked, favorite person to wrestle. Also, besides your own company, who do you like to wrestle for?
I loved wrestling with Johnny Gargano. I loved wrestling with Donovan Dijak. Right now, I love wrestling with David Starr and obviously Josh Alexander as a tag or as an opponent. And who do I love wrestling for? Limitless Wrestling, Wrestle Circus. I had a great time at CZW recently. Obviously, AIW and AAW, freelance wrestling. I'm going to say every company that I work for, just so I don't not get booked.
Right, as long as the check is there at the end of the night, they're tremendous.
Every company.
You get bumped up to the top of the list with that Taco Bell gift card, though.
Oh yeah. Hey, Impact Wrestling next week, possibly. It could be my favorite place I've wrestled.
But there is a follow-up in that same thing. Is do you believe that anyone is on the indies that could help elevate Impact as a wrestling company?
Yeah, was that a legit question?
Yeah, that was after the same person that asked favorite person to wrestle, and besides your own company, who do you like to wrestle for? His third question was, do you believe that anyone on the indies that could help elevate Impact as a wrestling company?
Well, so Jimmy Jacobs just debuted for Impact, and I think if they get him, even if he's on-air talent, whatever, if they get him in creative, he'll be able to help out quite a bit, at least helping things make sense and have good continuity. I think this is going to make me sound great too. I genuinely believe that if I ended up working there, I would be able to help out in a sense. And I only say that because I know how obsessive I get over working for companies. I kind of just dive in and I grab the flag and wave it around, and I try my best, because if you're willing to pay me to work for you, I take this as a job, and I don't just mean in between the ropes. It's my job to represent a company, pitch ideas, discuss ways that we can make things better, and I go to bat for companies. I think I would be able to help out a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, again, fan standpoint here, I don't think the problem with Impact is the talent necessarily. It's
well, the roster's great.
Right. It's an inability to get away from a style of wrestling that doesn't work. God, Bound for Glory was last weekend, and it sucked. It was such a bad show that had no need to be as bad as it was.
I actually watched Johnny Impact and Eli Drake. And I liked it.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't like the finish.
Yeah, the Alberto stuff drags it down. The stuff that drives me fucking crazy is, like, second match on the card was Ishimori against the hottest free agent in Canada, Tyson. Jesus, I choked trying to fuck with you there, but the entire match they kept cutting to. Oh, fuck, what's her name? I can't remember the girl's
Chelsea
name.
Green?
Yeah, I can't remember her character's name there.
See, I don't hate that.
I hate that they're cutting the whole time to her drunk in the crowd.
So my thing is, if you're a television product, you're telling stories. Now, I obviously wouldn't have had that match do as much as they did. I'm sure they did a lot of cool stuff that was probably missed because the commentators were talking about Chelsea, but she's a character on TV. These guys that are wrestling are, and I don't mean this in like an insulting way, when it comes to TNA TV, they're nobody.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's like that match got booked, and if you're asking me, that match got booked so that there was a match going on while they focused on her character and setting up, like, so, because then she ran in on the Abyss match, right?
Yeah, she ran in on the Abyss Grado match, which...
Yeah, so there was a setup, but then there was also a payoff.
See, I didn't think it actually set that up, really.
So I didn't watch, I shouldn't be even talking about it, but I caught highlights, and to me it looked like they set it up, they reminded people that she's an alcoholic or whatever, drunk, because she was supposed to get married to Grado for his green card. He found out she was Canadian, they broke up. And then later on in the match, it was like a callback earlier, and then when she ran in, it made sense.
Yeah, I feel like you can do that with shit outside of the match. Like, she could have easily stumbled out drunk during introductions, during a segment in the middle. It didn't have to. It was just the constant cutting to there she is, drunk in the crowd, and it just, I don't know. It felt not great. But I don't know. It just feels like this clinging to Attitude Era storytelling that drives me crazy with Impact. Like, there's endless talent for them to use. They've got a great roster, and if they would just focus on that, then they might be able to do something.
Fair enough.
All right, where are we? If you're apprehended by Batman, how are you ever charged and convicted of a crime? It's not like Batman can testify at your court date. What's his jurisdiction?
Well, usually for Batman to interject, the crimes you've committed have been crazy. So you're obviously a well-known criminal, and you've been on the run. So once Batman actually catches you, the cops have been looking for you for a certain amount of time that they would already have enough stuff to convict you of many crimes. And Batman is just helping out and dropping you off at the front door.
All right, but he's the world's greatest detective. He has to use that ability to track down these people to figure out who's committing crimes.
Right?
So he's the one gathering evidence. He's the one putting it together. So I don't know that holds up in court.
Yeah, but he also has Detective Gordon. So, I mean, Batman's not the one presenting the evidence to a lawyer. The police are.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've just ruined Batman.
No, not at all. That's why they have
this person on the internet has ruined Batman.
No, Batman's the greatest superhero of all time. And man, don't let this guy ruin it for you. Don't let him ruin it for you.
Oh,
especially on a day like today where I got my DC collector's box in the mail and I'm all DC'd up for Justice League. I'm pumped.
I'm not, but I'll still go there and be disappointed anyway.
Oh, you're so lame. Why would you say that?
Because okay, outside of Wonder Woman, there has not been a DC movie. Well, okay, Wonder Woman and the Dark Knight trilogy. There has not been a DC movie that I've wanted to watch a second time.
I've watched Suicide Squad at least 5 times.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
Batman vs. Superman I've watched twice, maybe 3 times.
See, and I mean, I'm a hardcore Green Lantern fan, so...
apparently he's supposed to be in this movie coming up.
Yeah, I know. It just... I don't know. I just have no faith.
So... this... What's his name? Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
He had his daughter passed away, right?
I'm unaware of if that's true, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, I believe she committed suicide. This is very morbid, but I'm sorry. And he stepped away from Justice League. And then, what's his nuts that did Avengers 1 and 2? You know his name?
Who, Joss Whedon?
Yeah. They brought him in to finish the movie.
Okay, see, I will admit to being out of the loop on DC movie news.
So, apparently, again, only rumors, he had rewritten the script and changed a lot of the dialogue for the Justice League movie.
All right, maybe I'll...
And they had a lot of reshoots. So, I mean,
I'm going to watch it either way. I guess with DC, I'm to the point where I want to go in with low expectations and be surprised rather than high expectations and be disappointed.
Sure. Go in with low expectations. Also,
yeah, I'm going in like I'm watching an Ethan Page match instead of a Matt Riddle match.
You show up expecting 2 stars, and then when you get 3, you're blown away. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's how we'll...
I'd also like to send my condolences. I did not mean to just gloss over the fact that his daughter committed suicide and then turned it into a positive by saying the script got changed. But I was just trying to...
No, I think that the larger point was the guy who has been making the movies that tone-wise haven't struck from a pure movie standpoint had less of a hand in this.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But visually incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Thematically similar, if you could decide what character or characters Marvel could turn into a Netflix series next, who would you choose?
Oh, man. That's a great question. Okay, I think Agent Venom would be a great Netflix series. But I don't think it would be affordable.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue. It seems like you've got Moon Knight sitting right there as another kind of street level guy.
I heard that was in the works.
Is that in the works?
But then again, I also heard Ghost Rider was too, but then he just showed up on what's it called? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I know that there was a pitch of a Moon Knight movie. I didn't know that was a pitch of a TV show, though.
Yeah, but I'm going to defend myself because I think Agent Venom, as far as like a storytelling wise, he's just an alcoholic with no legs. And if you kept the CGI limited to either like, I don't know, a couple episodes, I think it'd be a bit able to be affordable, especially because, I mean, if they could do stuff like Stranger Things, they should be able to pull this off.
Yeah, because there was a fair amount of... It was a pretty CGI heavy, especially the second season of Stranger Things. They had those dog things like everywhere.
Hey, I'm only on episode 2, you dick.
Oh, shit. Why would you bring it up?
Because it's on Netflix? What the hell?
Well, I didn't actually spoil anything for you.
All right, good.
I also, I mean, he's obviously not completely original to the Netflix universe, but maybe it's because I'm on another dive through The Sopranos, but I'd like just kind of a Kingpin standalone story.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Like, if they would go, like, pure villain story for at least one season, I think that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Or, you know what else would be good? A Hawkeye.
Did I lose you?
No. I just thought you were disappointed in my suggestion.
Oh, I didn't hear anything you said.
I think a Hawkeye one would be good, especially the rebooted comic book.
Yeah, that would work. I think obviously they're not going to touch anybody from the movies, but
right.
All right, let's see. Let's keep rolling through these. When did you realize that being a pro wrestler could become a reality?
Oh, well, my first day of training, and then my first booking. But if you're asking as like a legitimate career or job,
I think that's more interesting.
I would say in 2000 and oh man, when things started picking up steam, probably when I started doing Ring of Honor with Josh and PWG, I would say, because things were going very well at AAW and AIW. I started getting a couple flights here and there, and to me that's like a signal of like, hey, these promoters think you're worth getting on a plane and coming to the show. So I ended up, I would say, around that time.
All right, let's go back to the Eric Cannon Another Way to Get Paid that hasn't come out yet because the video sucks.
Fix that. What the hell? It's your job.
I'm trying, man. That room was terrible. You mentioned in that there are times you think about quitting, or I think it was you think about quitting all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So what makes you think about quitting? What part of your world makes you think about quitting?
wrestling is the most like come and go job ever. Like, sure, I'm doing good right now, but unless I find a way to reinvent myself every year and a half or 2 years, I could just grow stale and lose all steam and buzz, and my bookings would slowly start paying less or stop coming. And it's, I don't know, that's the most stressful thing in the world, is knowing that this is not forever, especially when you have like a kid on the way or you're married and your wife depends on you. Yeah. And like, it sucks too, because half the reason this is my job is because of the merchandise. So that depends on a lot of factors: the towns I'm wrestling in, the fans that are there, the money the fans have, their lives, their jobs. It's the strangest yet most satisfying yet most stressful job on earth.
All right. Have you ever been starstruck meeting another wrestler?
Yeah, Ric Flair. Perfect timing to say that too.
Yeah, that actually worked out real well.
Yeah, he was at Ring of Honor. I haven't seen the documentary, by the way. I'm dying to see it. He was at Ring of Honor in Toronto, and I got booked for a dark match, and it was kind of like a line in the back to just say hello, and like it's just like so awkward. He's not going to remember who he's saying hi to, but it's like a respect thing, a weird wrestling rule. So you go say hi, and it was like, "Hi, my name is whatever," and he would go, "Hi, Ric Flair, nice to meet you." And to me, it's like the most. In my head, I just wanted to say, "Yeah, I know," but just him saying like, "Hi, Ric Flair, nice to meet you," it's just like, it startled me, and that was the only time I've ever been starstruck.
Okay, let's see. Joe said talk about the Arn Sid incident.
Oh man, yeah. So I watched this YouTube video today, and Sid Vicious is talking about how he got stabbed with scissors by Arn Anderson. I didn't know about that story. That's a real thing?
Yeah.
Man, so I'm watching the thing, and I'm like, how? And I mean no disrespect to Arn Anderson, because obviously legend in wrestling. How do you keep a career going after something like that?
How do you not?
What? Dude, if I stabbed you with scissors, Flow Slam would not want me to do a podcast anymore.
I don't know. I don't know how popular I am at the office.
Whatever. But they... Oh, man, that's so wild. That was, like, when I heard that, or when I was watching the video, I was messaging a bunch of my buddies, and I was like, how is this not, like, a thing that stopped people from working?
Okay, to be fair, I mentioned last show my brief cup of coffee in my teens as an indie wrestler in, like, the shittiest feds. The guy who trained me cut off his girlfriend's toe at a show. And that was
at a show, like you saw it?
Oh, right before we Dan Severn was setting up a ring, and
why was Dan Severn setting the ring up?
Because I assume they rented his ring, because Coldwater to this area was only like an hour drive.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it was Severn's ring. He didn't work there. It was in the parking lot of a bar called O'Malley's. And the point was this local promoter wanted to send a tape to WWE of this tag team that was so bad. I can't remember their name, but he was so sure. So they wrestled like 3 matches this one day in a parking lot. But before the show, the guy who did like the lightest amount of training with me, because like we were just backyard idiots who... happened to get to know the promoter by filming his shows for him. But the guy who did the little bit of training was Michael Stryker. And he liked to pick things up in character and hold them like they're his dick and like hump at the fans. So there's this huge fat guy, the Highlander. And he had this big axe and he would come out in a kilt. So Stryker picks up this axe, holds it in front of his dick, and like starts humping at his girlfriend and drops the axe.
Oh, it was an accident.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like he didn't like flip his shit.
Well,
like,
I don't think Arn Anderson accidentally stabbed.
No, I'm just saying.
Scissors.
I think any sort of stabbing or cutting, whether intentional or not, I think, to be fair to you, may drive someone out of the business. Because I saw that and it was only the start of the weirdest day of my life. But yeah, her toe just popped right off.
And I'm only nonchalantly talking about this, by the way, because apparently this is like a well-known story.
Yeah, the Arn Sid thing?
Yeah, I had no idea. Maybe I'm like the dumbest wrestler on earth. So I'm hearing of this thing and I'm freaking out like, how is this public knowledge?
Or like, how are you the first person to find out that the story exists?
Yeah, because I'm sending it to my friends and they're like, yeah, I knew about that. And I'm like, what the hell? That's crazy. And the clip that I saw, and you know what too, I will say, apparently the story's told different ways from different people. So I'm not saying Arn is wrong or Sid is wrong. I'm just saying dudes got stabbed with scissors and it was just like, oh, whatever. But the version that I watched was Sid telling the story, and apparently he says something about Ric Flair not wanting other guys to get over, and that pissed Arn off, that he bottled him in the head with a beer bottle, and Sid just got up and walked up to his room and kept telling the rest of the story that got to stabbing. And in my head I'm thinking, you got hit in the head with a beer bottle. How did you just go over that part of the story like it was nothing? Oh yeah, I was talking trash about Ric Flair, and then, Arn grabbed his beer bottle, hit me in the head, and I was like, oh, I don't want any of this, so I went upstairs, and then he was chasing me with a broken beer bottle, so I ripped a chair leg off in the hotel and went to beat his ass, but he wasn't in the hallway, so I calmed down, I threw the chair leg down the hall, turned around, and there was Arn Anderson stabbing me with scissors, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Am I going to have to be the one that breaks it to you that, like, Sags from the Nasty Boys briefly killed Ken Shamrock in a fight?
What? Like, legit killed? Or just beat him up?
Ken claims that he died in the ambulance going to the hospital.
Oh my god, like Nick Gage?
I guess. It was 1990. But yeah, it was like a fight that started in the bar, and Ken went to their room, and then Ken's side is that he saw Knobs passed out on the bed, so Sags hit him in the back of the head with a steel phone, and then beat the shit out of him, and like broke his eye, and like gave him a concussion, and he says he died in the ambulance going to the hospital. Of course, Sags says that it was never anything but his fists, but yeah, Nasty Boys Sags beat up Ken Shamrock.
Holy crap. Well, if you hit him in the back of the head, I mean... Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's not discredit this UFC legend.
Well, I'm sure that...
Also, the first indie wrestler of all time. Kick pads, trunks, no selling, Hurricane Ranas. He's a legend, man. He's the first independent wrestler of all time.
And, but to be fair to Sags also, he also disputes the hitting him in the back of the head part.
All right, fair enough. Maybe he just whipped his ass. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, first indie wrestler Ken Shamrock. I can dig that. I feel like now you just need to spend like a week just researching.
Watching
all the classic fight stories.
Interviews. Oh my god. Yeah, see, that's what I like about wrestling. Well, I don't like it. I don't like when that stuff happens, but like, I'm just so shocked. I'm so shocked.
All right, do you have a fight story, obviously, without stabbing or...
In wrestling? No.
All right. Just checking. I gotta see who I'm dealing with here.
That's so crazy to me. Like, I've had the most tame career on earth.
Well, let's be honest. Your generation of wrestlers have had tame careers compared to The
frickin' stabbing? No shit.
well, you're not quite the wild bunch that was around for all those years, and the 70s and 80s and early 90s.
Do we need to be?
You'd have a lot better stories.
I mean, I got stories, but nothing that ends with a frickin' pair of scissors in my face.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, how much more attention would Alpha 1 get if it was like, hey, last night after the Alpha 1 show, Space Monkeys stabbed Josh Alexander with a pair of scissors?
Terrible, because we did one match with a dog collar. It was Gregory Iron versus Ricochet and Page. And they bled everywhere. People left because they felt uncomfortable. And you want to tell me that Space Monkey's going to put a knife in Josh Alexander's forehead?
Oh, no, you don't do it at the show. It happens at a bar after the show.
Oh, I'll just lie and say that happened.
Okay, I mean, whatever gets you the attention, because the Sid Arn story has been around since, it happened.
That's insane, man. I can't believe that's a real story, and that everyone knows it but me.
Yeah, that's real weird that you don't know that. All right, we got a couple more we can burn through real quick. Let's see. Favorite place to eat in Hamilton. Wade is looking for date night ideas for the wife.
Ooh, I love August 8th, the sushi joint. There's, I think, 3 of them in Hamilton. One in Ancaster, one in Stony Creek, and one in downtown Hamilton. They're all relatively close. It's an all-you-can-eat sushi buffet. I'm a big fan of the steak bowls there, the Chipotle mayo, and the Philly rolls.
A disproportionate amount of what you eat seems to come in bowl form.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jordy just said body guy stuff.
Oh, well, there you go. I just told you what I eat, so technically...
Yeah, covered.
That's what fuels the big muscles.
And then I'm real mad because I was able to thread most of the questions together today really well, but somehow when we talked movies... I missed the if you could play any Marvel character in a movie, who would it be?
Oh, man. So, obviously, I would love to be like Spider-Man because he's my favorite character, but I know I'm not Spider-Man. So, if we're talking realistic, I would probably be like a B-list villain. So, we're going maybe like Shocker... Or I might be able to play a good Mysterio.
All right.
Because he was like an actor and then used his like stage and movie like props as like a I would maybe like a Nova Corps member. I would probably be able to do that. But I'm also kind of funny. So we could also be looking at like, I don't know, like maybe I voiced Howard the Duck. It's a good option there. Oh
yeah,
man,
you're in a weird place. You're not skinny enough to be the Spider-Man type.
Right. I'm not jacked enough to be like Colossus.
Yeah, you got to commit. It's either diet time or you go hard in the gym.
Yeah, right. I played Daredevil though in a YouTube movie. It's on my YouTube page. If you guys want to check that out, it's the Canadian Monster Mafia is my YouTube page, and it's a full 15-20 minute movie where I play Daredevil. So check that out.
All right, man. Plug your shit. Let's get out of here.
I think I can pull off Star-Lord.
Yeah, I think that's taken.
Well, obviously. I didn't know that characters that already played by people were.
Well, I mean, you gotta realize that you're gonna be directly compared then.
Well, then yeah, obviously I can't be Spider-Man. Duh. Man, this is gonna bother me. I feel like we should spend more time on this question.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you go with somebody from Alpha Flight? You're Canadian.
No, they all sucked. At least if I'm gonna be like, no,
you wouldn't be a good Puck.
No, I'm way too tall for that. At least
CGI, man.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Actually, someone should Photoshop that if they're really good at it. I would say no. No, don't be lame like this, okay? At least if I'm gonna pick a character and it's gonna be like a B-list character, I would like it to at least be attached to like a top tier like group. Like we're talking X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, something like that. Something with like prestige, not Alpha Flight.
Well, it's like your best heroes up there, though.
No, Deadpool's Canadian. Wolverine is Canadian.
Yeah, but they left the cozy confines of Canada.
So I hope so do I one day.
All right, so yeah, I think Puckett is. There we go. I've decided. And we're good.
Sure, man.
All right, plug your shit. Let's get out of here.
Okay, this Friday I am in Seattle for Defy Wrestling. Saturday, CZW. I'm defending the Southside World Heavyweight Championship against Space Monkey. And follow me on Twitter @OfficialEgo, YouTube.com/The Canadian Monster Mafia, ProWrestlingTees.com/Ethan Page, Instagram @official_ego, and I have been doing some live streaming on there recently. So yeah, follow me on there. I do. I'm trying to get my stories better, my Instagram stories. Trying to improve on that. So yeah, and if you, as a listener, think I would play a character great for a Marvel movie, please respond with your answer.
Photoshop's appreciated.
Oh, Photoshops are most definitely appreciated.
All right, and make sure you subscribe, rate, review. It's a big help for us, obviously. And we will be back next week with episode 3. Time is flying by, man.
What? No, it's only three weeks.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make it sound more impressive, and like the commitment is there if they hit the subscribe button.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely doing this. This is a thing now, so definitely follow along.
All right, man. Well, you have safe travels this weekend, and we will talk next week.
Yeah, man. Driving out to Ottawa. Talk to you later.